Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge of the Brawler Cafe, bringing you a quick ruling update, follow-up on the Blackhole situation, plus covering some other ruling updates we've gotten in the past couple days. So, starting off with Blackhole, we got this ruling update actually before that video went live, but it was already scheduled, so I was like, whatever, I'll just let it go up. So VK answered the thread that we put up, that Lycon put up, asking, hey, can we get a freaking ruling here? And we finally got it! After a month of asking, and this card being effectively broken for 5 months of release, we finally got it. So this rule will be added in the next rulebook update. We still have no clue when that rulebook update is, by the way. So, you know, that's a whole thing. And there's apparently some other rules that are going to be added in that update. But it would be nice to have some kind of idea of when that's happening. Because as it is, like, I basically have to make this video so to try and get the word out here of, hey, this is how this works. Because unless you're doing that or following this specific Reddit thread, you won't know. Which is why it needs to be in the actual rulebook immediately. But basically, if a player has no unopened Bakugan to select, then that player must retract all of their Bakugan and then select a Bakugan to roll. So, for team attacks, it basically functions the same way it normally would, except your retraction happens during the next turn's selection step instead of that turn's retract step. Now, the interesting interaction here is this can actually speed up getting your team attack for the player utilizing Blackhole. That's actually really cool. Like, the defending player who just lost and activates Blackhole off their damage, that Bakugan that lost, instead of retracting because you skipped the retract step, because you definitely skipped the retract step because we wouldn't be getting a new rule here if we didn't skip the retract step, that Bakugan stays open, and it could be like some weak Bakugan like Power Talc or Ultra, and you no longer have to win with it until you get your team attack off, and that's really cool. I actually really like that interaction. Blackhole has some issues in general mid-range decks that prevent its use, to prevent you from really utilizing this interaction, but it's still a pretty cool interaction that I'm quite fond of. Just wish it had been a broken card for 5 months, you know? And I wish this was actually in the freaking rulebook. You know, baby steps, I guess. Baby steps. Yes. Is there anything else? Is there anything else on Blackhole? Oh, actually, let me pull up something. This is actually something I'm not exactly sure how this would work. Let's grab from Aquos, ability cards, action cards. Where are you? BubbleNet. Here he is. Okay, so BubbleNet. So actually, this is an interesting question that I'll actually need to get answered. So would BubbleNet's retraction also be skipped? That's an interesting concept. Would that also be skipped? That's something that I need to ask, actually, and get that answered. But moving on from Blackhole, we have some other ruling things to go over. So I had this huge amount of questions that I asked VK on the Reddit server. Asking which rulebook to go to in the case of contradictions between the official complete rulebook and the starter set rulebook. What the rolling distance is, because, okay, so if you go here in the official online rulebook, where is it? Bakugan must be released within 2 vertical card lengths from the edge of the table closest to the player rolling it, which contradicts everything that says 2 card lengths from the closest Bakugan, which is kind of really important. That's a really important distinction. That's a huge distinction. So it's like, hey, extra clarification here. Which are we supposed to go for with this? Also, some other various terminology things. We'll go over all of that. So, the answers. One, of course, ended up being official complete rulebook. So in any case of contradictions, like for example, the basic rulebook, let me pull it up here real quick. The basic rulebook says here that you get you get the brawl, the victory phase, and the damage phase. However, in the official complete rulebook, the victor phase and the damage phase are both parts of the brawl phase, which is made up of the power step, the victor step, the damage step, and the retract step. So, important distinctions. So we know for sure that we go to the official rulebook now. It is 2 card lengths away from the nearest Bakugan. Hopefully this gets amended in the official rulebook in the next update, because as I just showed you, it still has the incorrect thing in here. So for the third one, which was on... which is 5.11, 2.1.1. Opposing cards played in response to a flip card that would modify the Victor Bakugan's damage don't have no effect. So the answer on this was, if I play a flip card, anything you play in response would be opposing it. And then question 4 is, if it refers to the player who isn't using the flip, thus the owner of the Victor Bakugan, does that mean that the player using the flip can modify the Victor Bakugan's damage? To which BK seemed to clarify that it means only stop cards can modify that, which means this terminology is actually super confusing and should instead say that any card that isn't a flip card cannot modify the Victor Bakugan's damage. That should be clarified. Then number 5 was, when can reroll cards be used? Previously you stated that they can be used in the brawl phase, but does that include in response to the use of a flip card in the damage step? So what this was about is, okay, let me get up another card. So what this was about is, we had a query of if one of the new flip cards from Bakugan Resurgence, like Freeze here, which stops the Bakugan holding a fist core. If that is played, are we allowed to, in response, play a reroll card, and hopefully not pick up a fist, and thus dodge the stop? So that's what that was about. And BK clarified that no, that's too late. Once a victor has been decided, you can't reroll, because that would make things get way too messy. So what this means is that basically the only time you can ever play rerolls is in the power step, which is basically the brawl, because the victor step comes right after, you can't use it there, and the play timing before then, there's no play timing in the rolling step. You can look through it yourself, there's no play timing here. The last play timing before then is here at 5.6.2 in the selection step before rolling. So common sense dictates you can't re-roll before you've rolled in the first place. So that means that the only time you can use it is in the power step, which is when the brawl is still currently occurring. What was number 6? It was just more self-clarifying that, in case it was, you could use stuff in response to flips. 7, do flips select a Bakugan just attack to stop? If you flip freeze, can you activate it even if there's an attacking Bakugan that does not have a fist core attached, and respond to your own flip with Mega Punch, so freeze can stop the attack? So this was another thing about freeze, of course. Sorry, went to something that we're not supposed to be at yet. So this is another thing about freeze, of course. Asking if, can I activate it, then Mega Punch in response? Let me just get out Mega Punch to make this super clear to you guys. Mega Punch right here. So can I use, because this can attach a fist from the field to any open Bakugan. So can I use this to attach to my opponent's Bakugan? And the answer is no, because to play the freeze in the first place, you have to target in the first place. So you cannot do that. And 8, can quick fire, which is, I already have this prepared to show you. I'm prepared this time. So can quick fire target yourself for the Pirate's attack? And the answer was no, you cannot attack yourself. Clarified by this part of the damage step. which is 5.11.1, damage is dealt to the opposing player, which is saying that damage can only be dealt to the opposing player, so you cannot damage yourself with quickfire. So that's how that works. Next! Okay, China Riot and quickfire interaction. I'm just gonna make this quote smaller so I can fit both cards on. So this is some real nonsense right here. I hope you're ready for this. Oh my god. Trying to get this all small enough so that you can see it all. Sure, for the no background, just kind of snapdash video. So, attacks on cards. So Quickfire makes a pirate's attack for 1 damage, and you may reroll your Bakugan. And China Riot and other cards like Everett Ray and whatnot say +1 damage to your attacks. So, logically, following what the card text here states, you would assume you would be able to use China Riot to increase the damage of Quickfire, which would give cards like China Riot an upside when compared to cards like Mac, which just flat increase the damage rating of all of your Bakugan instead of only doing it to attacks. But, as it turns out, that's not the case. Attacks on cards like China Riot and other action cards only apply to Bakugan attacks. Starting with set 4, we will be adding the phrase Bakugan attack to cards to make this clear. Now, I also find this also interesting for the fact that he mentioned set 4. I suggested earlier in my, I believe my flip video, I brought this up, that I don't expect any changes based on community feedback to happen until set 4 because of the length of production of cards. And this is basically confirming that. It's going, hey, this is a change that's happening, but we can't change this until set 4. But basically, yeah, any card like China Riot refers specifically to Bakugan attacks, which is really annoying wording, but whatever. Whatever. And yeah, this is the last one. So this is, let me just get rid of these and change one of them to one of the cards we're talking about here. So this one is about reroll cards and whether they target. So we already have Quickfire up here. You can see that that's a reroll card. So when you select the Bakugan to reroll, do you target with that? And the reason that's brought up is because we have Bakugan like Rerolls Trox and its evolution that state, hey, when you play an action card on this, and thus when you target it, it gets a bonus. So it's like, hey, do these get those additional effects when you play a reroll card on them? And the answer is yes. So, Rerolls Trox is mega busted. Have fun, guys. Alright, that's going to be it. Next time I have a big batch of ruling updates to bring you guys, I will probably make another video like this. But with that said, this is Hunter Surge, signing off.